Now Charles feels like he can die because the mother, the father, and the collective nuclear family has rejected Wandia. Wandia is a girl she has been dating, and so he took her home. And in the setup of marriage, you see, sometimes when you don't have the resources, when you don't have the money, and maybe you stay at home, you will take the girl there. And fortunately or unfortunately, they'll come to learn that they have a new visitor in the compound. And that is how Wandia was chased away by the mother. Now, who was supposed to be the mother-in-law, Charles' mother. And as we speak right now, Charles feels like he can die, feels like it is the end of the world. But let's get to the basics. At what point do parents get the guts to excommunicate? Excommunicate ni kufukuza. At what point do parents get the guts to chase away somebody that you love? And as a man, when you grow up, even if you read the Bible, you see the man will leave, the woman will leave, who will live and who will grieve. It's one and the same thing. It means the both of them are going to leave their parents and stay together as husband and wife. And if possible, you stay away from them, because you see, human beings are very selfish. And sometimes every relationship, every arrangement requires them to have their interests served. And if those interests are not served to the best of the understanding, they would rather abort the mission. And that is what we are discussing today. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. This is Jenganjero. Now, on this episode, I want to use the case study of Charles and Wandia to communicate some details about how you should date and where you should avoid at all costs. Because at the end of the day, the choice of a marriage partner is a very personal choice. I've seen people who say that their choices were ruined by the people who are closest to them. And you see, the idea of marriage is not yours. The idea of marriage is not mine. The idea of marriage is not even belonging to those people who want to fall in love. The idea of marriage is God's. So the original idea came from God. And therefore, you should not be working so hard, wondering, will this thing work? If you align yourself properly, marriage will work, because marriage is not your idea. Marriage is not your spouse's idea. Marriage is the idea of God. That means whatever He ordained, He will sustain. And if He sustains, He will provide enough grace for you to overcome the challenges that happen from time to time. Now, Charles and Wandia have been lovers for quite some time, months, almost 9 months. And before people move in as husband and wife, there are steps they have moved, there are decisions they have made, there are plans of the future. And sometimes you take a lover home for formalities. You don't want to be a casual person. When you take that lover home, the parents scold. There are even marriages. I'm speaking maybe to people who are in marriage right now, and even the partner they are having today, 10 years later, 5 years later, whatever number of years later, maybe if the parents were asked, these people could not have matched. If they were asked, because most parents are respecters of persons. They look at who you have brought home and they want to decide for you. They want to overrule your decision. And maybe if you're soy, if you're soft, then that decision will be trampled on. And mind you, when you are leaving home, and that's why I tell men, if possible, if you come from either a middle class family or lower middle class or poor family, okay, if you come from those three groups, either poor, lower middle class, or middle class, don't stay at home. You see, people who are practicing generational transfer of wealth are the only types of people who can be able to accommodate another variant of marriage in the same homestead. If you're poor, for instance, and you can maybe back that with a lot of evidence, citations upon citations. If you are poor, if you come from a poor family, if you're coming from the lower middle class, if you're coming from the middle class, these are people who have challenges with finances. Even the middle class are just pretending to be somewhere. They are not. If you come from those three families, make sure if you marry, you don't take your spouse to their house, to their compound. Mtakosana vibaya sana. Hiyo fantasy munaona ati you got married, unampeleka kwenu nyumbani, anaishi huko, that belongs to the rich. to the rich, the wealthy, and the filthy rich. Are you getting the point? Because there is a heritage they are trying to protect. Everyone else outside of that arrangement is struggling to live. So if you know that you're coming from those three backgrounds and you're a man and there is no generational wealth to be guarded, just go get a home somewhere, go rent a house and be a man, so that some embarrassments will not be subjected to you and your wife. Because if you cannot be able to protect your wife, who can protect her? If you cannot be able to protect your family, who can protect your family? And you see, as I said, the idea of marriage does not belong to you. The idea of marriage belongs to God. So it is God's idea, and therefore God's ideas don't fail unless the custodians are careless. If you're a careless custodian and you've been given the delicate item of marriage, if you're careless, it doesn't matter whether it is the idea of God, it will come down crumbling because you don't follow principles. So I'm telling you, just like a man to man, if you're watching this and you're a man, and maybe you're planning to date somebody and take them to your compound, if possible, go rent. Somebody will be saying, oh, Jenga, you want us to waste money with this economy, you want us to do this. There will be struggles. At some point, there will be struggles. If possible, stay away from them, because this is a new family unit. And as I've said, this is a new variant of marriage. This is a marriage that has never existed. It is existing for the very first time. Doesn't matter your age. You could be 40, 50, 60, even 90. But remember, these two people have never been married. Maybe they were married to their exes, to their respective exes, but they were not married to one another. So it's a new marriage. It's a new variant. And this new variant is an experiment. And every experiment is subject to errors. And most parents don't want to see those errors practiced in their compounds. And that is why Charles and Wandia have been chased away. Because you're bringing your wife was brought up in a very different way. You could be coming from the same community, but the level of upbringing, the kind of upbringing that you were subjected to when growing up is completely different from the kind of upbringing that your spouse has, unless you're born and raised by the same parents. And in Africa, we don't even entertain incest. We don't marry relatives in Africa, do we? It's common sense. So as a man, there are things you should know, that as a man, I need to walk out. I need to go chart my path. Unasikia? So that kesi kama hii ya Charles unaniambia utajinyonga. You see, it's the responsibility of a man to ensure that he's the alpha. It is the responsibility of the man to ensure that even the entry strategy is correct. It is the responsibility of man to ensure that his family cannot be subjected to shame, lest he is not a man. It is the responsibility of the man to know that hata watu hufungiwa nyumba, hata ikifungwa ni ya mwanaume, unajaribu tena. Kwani ikichotwa si nani? Hata vitu zikichotwa ni wewe utachotwa ama ni mali? You go out there and there. And the moment you begin to program your mindset that I can start this and if it fails, I'm okay. It will not be the end of the world. That attachment, if you don't detach from some things in life, you will never attach yourself to some levels of destiny. I hope that sinks. If you don't detach from some things, for instance, you're supposed to employ a certain mantra in your life. And that mantra helps you to understand that nothing cannot be released. Whether it's a relationship, ikileta nonsense, unaondoka. That's why most people are even dying in depression. Unasikia mtu amekufa, amekutwa kwa nyumba, amebakisha kilo 20 kwa sababu amekuwa depressed, and somebody was just supposed to dust themselves and move on. Because life is made up of ups and downs. And we said the God of the valley is still the God of the mountain. Go read the book of Psalms. Okay? And it is not going to be easy. Even people who want to get married. The people we are posting today, we have people we are posting tomorrow, yesterday, the day before yesterday, last month, last year, but one last, hey, yeah. We will be doing this, connecting people. And one mistake I don't want you to make is to think that this is going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. How? Because you're going to fight. You put up a fight. Even the children of Israel put up a fight. Imagine God took them from from Egypt, from Misri, the land of slavery, where they have been subjected to slavery for the last 70 years. And you remember that one was prophesied even in the book of Jeremiah, that they were going to become slaves. And no, that was not that time, because that is in the book of Jeremiah. I'm speaking in the context of the book of Exodus, where Moses was taking them from Pharaoh. Yeah, I was confusing. Moses was taking them from the book of Exodus. He was taking them to the promised land, Canaan. So he's taking them from Egypt to Canaan, but for them to acquire the promised land, they had to fight giants. They had to fight. Because in every man's promised land, I believe there will be giants. There will be giants everywhere. There will be giants. And what does the Bible say? Fight the good fight of faith. Not talk the good talk. Not smile the good smile. No. The Bible recognizes that the only weapon that the enemy respects is warfare. So, ladies and gentlemen, it might not be easy, but you gotta fight if you will have to enjoy the fruits. So, to Charles and Wandia, the message is simple. You are grown-ups. You know what you liked in one another. You know what you loved. At the age of 40, I believe that a man can walk away, go rent a house. You can start from somewhere. Ati huku kwetu tunaogea kwa nyumba, nini. Go be a man. Go get a single room. Hata kama ni in the middle of the bush. Enda uombe mtu plot yake ukalishe. Go construct something. Okay? Go work. Bring food. Eat ugali and onions. Drink hot water. Be a man. If that Wandia is committed, you will start from somewhere. Because the only thing that starts from the top is actually the grave. And that's not a grave you're digging. So because it's a foundation we want to, the only thing we want here to see is that people can move from one level to another, the challenges notwithstanding. Sasa wewe, as a man, ufukuzwe nyumbani, mke wako afukuzwe nyumbani, ati kwa sababu hamna mahali pa kwenda, that is now the reason for divorce, ndio ukubaliwe urudi nyumbani. Toxic parents everywhere. So, I don't know what they saw in Wandia. If it's in bad faith, it's okay. But if it's in good faith, I am telling you, they can also explain. But because they have not explained, they've just said, ni kama kukuambia, hauoi ukiwa hapa. That's the simple message they're trying to show. We are not raising another baby. Because wewe ufanyi kazi, so ukiwaleta hapo, utakuja kuwekelea mzazi majukumu. Hata mimi nitakufukuza. Go be a man.